I think Simona's gonna make a deep run in the game, to be honest. I think she's dangerous. I think Evan has a likable personality. I think that, yeah, I mean, realistically, I think somebody from that swap tribe with the numbers is probably gonna win, and it makes sense. So that said, damn, who's left? Yep, I can see it kind of not. Vogl, to my knowledge, is such a big threat. I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, Simona probably or Evan. And
Gotcha.
honestly, I'm rooting for them as well from that tribe. Honestly, I think my favorite part was just meeting the people. Um, to be honest, that's why I do enjoy these games. I had a lot of fun. Um, the challenges were fairly fun as well, regardless of not being able to win too many of them. But it was all it was all fun.
I knew I knew coming into this game that I was probably not gonna win, and I really just wanted to make jury. I want to make a little further into jury, but like
Hmm.
I wanted to be able to be part of the day, right? I didn't
Hmm.
want to go home.
Right.
What I'm curious about, and I will not know this, I'll ask you. Did you know anything about me before the game? Have you seen me before in anything?
Yeah.
Okay. So DCP, before they started doing orgs, they did like these trivia things during quarantine. And I was their first winner of Survivor Trivia, and then they did like a Champion of Champions thing, and I won that also. So depending on how like deeply embedded in this channel people in the game were, they might have known me. And then
Um.
I was also big into sequester, which was a big thing.
Okay.
So I figured I wouldn't walk in and say, "Oh, I'm new to this kind of stuff," but I was curious as to if anybody knows me. I wonder if I got clocked.
Yeah, that's so funny. Noyopa had pretty much told me that, like, on your starting tribe, like, you were seen as like the collective big threat. So I came into merge with that information, and like
What would he have to go
that,
off of?
huh?
Unless like they said stuff when I got pulled for confessionals. We were all together the entire time he was on the tribe.
I mean, I don't know, but
Huh.
that's when like I was sitting in a room with Sam and Yap, and like they were talking about, like, they didn't say any names or anything like that. But I was like, okay, maybe I can bond with them over like knowing this information. Maybe they were close to him. And then I was like, fuck, maybe I should tell Vogl. But because we didn't have that connection, I was like, I'm not convinced that you would just like, confront them and it'll get me voted out anyway. I really, I'm intrigued to see how Sam's gonna leverage his social game, seeing as though he met all of us swap, I mean pre-merge. So like what did he do with those social connections? Like
Mhm.
did he use them to put himself like in a final three alliance or something like that? So I don't
Mhm.
know. I think that like if I am gonna vote off a social game and he is there, I feel like he has the most to say because he got to talk to everybody pre-merge.
If Kyle keeps giving signals at tribal
He keeps
and the vote goes that way, then it doesn't matter how bad he's playing, he's controlling the game. And game control is a winning strategy. Um, if that was just him doing that to let people know, and they were going to do it anyway, and then he goes out, in a couple more votes, or even if he makes the final, but it just doesn't play out like he calls out a few things and the vote goes differently, then I mean, I threw my money on Kayla. I think she's playing a solid game. I still need to see more.
Hmm. See, I threw my money on Kyle, not because I think he's playing well, but because I want to see what he'd do with it.
Oh,
So
sure.
I'm Kyle is this game, as much as I'd love to think I was the star of my own story, this game is very quickly like appearing as the Kyle show. And now, if Kyle gets to the end, I think I'm with you on that, Andy, where it's like, if he did this and can show that it was him, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
My inclination right now is anything that he claims as his move is something that everybody was already thinking of. Like I've kind of like evolved to the point based on what you've told me, Jabbar, about conversations you had while you were still in the game. I'm giving nobody credit for taking me out of the game because I think everybody was thinking of it. I immediately resented. I heard Yap say that they pulled off a blindside. I was not blindsided. And if somebody like changed the way people thought, that's the winning strategy. And if somebody either went with the flow and the flow happened to work in their favor, or got convinced and changed their minds and voted against their best interest, that's a strike against them. I think Kayla, while on paper has played a very impressive game, I think that she is the first one who I know cast a vote against her best interest. And based on you going out after that, Andy, like I just don't think that she's got agency.
It's
Even
proof. Yeah.
she's probably the strongest player on paper, but it's just not happening for her right now. So let's see if she turns the tides. I think she might get this.
Yeah. So, interesting development that I just remembered. So it was right after Vogl had got voted out, and everybody took a bathroom break. Production told me that I can stay in there because like they were having the final 8 challenge right after. And everybody had went to the bathroom, and Simona, I don't know if she realized that like the jury was like allowed to still be there, but she was talking to herself, but like production was there, and she had kind of made a comment where she was like, essentially like this game has pathed out the way she needs it to now. Now she can kind of relax because like the dirty work is done in a sense, so which makes me think that like there is a 4-person alliance that is monopolizing everything, and like she's comfortably going to the end within that 4. And if it does pan out that way, I think that it's really impressive. But I think that if that's the case, that's gonna, in my opinion, devalue Kyle's game because I don't think that he's a part of that. I think that it's something that was established on that starting tribe.
It was one of those things where I was worried that like on paper, like we had been telling everyone from the OG Oro tribe that the OG I still don't know our fucking name. The OG Argento tribe were not telling the Oro tribe any other name but them so
Mhm.
that they could reconvene and be like, well, we're a solid 5, so why don't we just like I mean we're a
Mhm.
5, so why don't we just stick to our OG tribal lines and go to rocks? So
Mhm.
at that moment, I thought, like, let me just guarantee that we have the number advantage. And then
Mhm.
when Kayla and Kyle were like, when I first talked to them immediately after that tribal council, I was like, let's like, I knew that they were crawling and like hoping for anything. And I was honest with them. I'm like, hey, like, there's an opportunity. And like, in that moment, it worked out, but like, it just did not extend as far as I was hoping. Maybe it did, maybe during that Andy vote, but I think at that moment we should have just been like, fuck it, why don't we just all vote Kyle? At FTC, like I would take full ownership of like blindsiding you, and if there were moments that I got lucky, like throughout the game, which I did, like I still would have owned it. Like I mean, like like I can't regret it. Like should I have zigged instead of zagged? I ended up here.
Yeah.
It
We
was
got
one of
about
those.
a minute before tribal.
That's
Probably
that's.
do.
I think just if you would have taken ownership of it, I think that probably would have cost you my vote. And not because I wouldn't have respected a game move of voting me out, but more that like. And I'll say this for whoever, if any of them try to claim it, because somebody else is going to try to claim it during my question. If they say that they thought of it, I feel like everybody was thinking it. So it's one of those things. It's the same thing with my philosophy on Kyle. It's like, yeah, Kyle might think he made moves, but I think he just like wanted to do things that other people already wanted to do. So is that really his move, or is it he talked a lot and did things that other people already wanted?
Because I think
See, on the one hand, like I should have voted out Sam when I tried to, but also
I think he wrote my name down the previous tribal as well
Yeah,
when
I just like
Yap went.
on the one hand he's playing smart. I just like I don't
I
I don't feel game from him.
No,
I
I would hear him out next to Karli and Evan, but for me, like, Kayla and Kyle have just played so dominantly. And like what I was saying, I think I was saying it to Sam, honestly. And so the fact that, whatever, was I was like, the fact that they've been playing so clearly, so dominantly, and we
and they're
had the
in.
clear majority and we failed, like, I would rather get to the end and lose to a Sam and a Karli because, like, our games were similar and they played a little bit more out in front than I did. Get to the end and lose to a Kayla and a Kyle because that means I failed at getting them out. Whereas if I were to lose to a Sam and a Karli, it's like, well, the jury was looking for different things, or like
Mm-hmm.
should have taken Evan. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
I don't know. The people that I think it was not in the best interest of, ironically, are the people who I think are playing the best games. Like, I think that Kayla, what I said in front of you was true. Like, it was not a good move for her to vote me out. And I think that her road to the end has been so much messier.
Bumpy. Mm-hmm.
But is that,
But if she gets there,
but while I agree that's a hit on her game, the fact that she's navigated the mess
yeah,
is pretty impressive.
I agree.
I would,
And I
but
get,
go ahead, Andy. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and I get that having advantages because we kept losing essentially is is potentially why they might end up in the final and win the game, but at the same time it's still navigating the messy.
Yeah. No, it
I
is.
agree. I agree. I
Okay.
do think though that like if the bequeathal ends up playing into that, all those things. I don't know. I agree that you're navigating with the tools that you have. I just think like having a large advantage for numerous rounds in a row, like it was like immunity, safety without power, idle. Like, I understand that that's what you have to do when you're in that type of position. But it's like she actually never was vulnerable. And
Well, it's just that, like, until this round. So this round is now where things might be pivoting, right? Because you did get the majority of the votes. So
Right.
until then, my argument against Kayla has been
Right.
voting me out as somebody who knew that my back was up against the wall and wanted to work with big threats. And I said as much to you. And you denied me of that. And then look at everything that's happened since where you haven't been able to have agency in the game. If she gets agency, I'm more inclined to support her.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm leaning towards being really high on Sam at this moment, because I feel like out of all of them, he's positioned himself in a place, at least if he was the one who voted out Simona, to like show that he was playing to get to the end. And I think that like besides having a challenge advantage, like he showed like social savviness
Yeah, I
to
think
do so.
So like from your guys' perspective, from what you've seen, like is there people remaining that you oh by the way, I saw the message, Vogl, you bequeathed many coins to me.
I did.
And I appreciated that. And that's why I was kind of bummed that I don't think I spent them in the best way. I really feel like if I'd asked more about when the advantages expire, I would have made a different selection.
Mhm.
But I don't know. But I don't know. I guess it was split. Simona wasn't so sure, but you guys seem to think that the steal was impactful, or at least somewhat, or at least maybe secured something. But I appreciated that.
I think it forced Evan and Karli and Simona to vote for me, because if we vocally said, all right, let's just vote Sam, then what's stopping your two votes and Sam from just like forcing a tie on Sam and Yap, and then it would force those three to just go to rocks to save me.
Hmm.
And like
Right.
that's like it ultimately just like there was no other option for the other three to do anything.
Yeah, I guess I kind of put them in like Zugzwang where there's no good moves. But you're right. Like it's kind of I felt like there was some flawed logic in that last session of 5 personally, but I don't know.
No, I think what
Understand.
Jabbar is saying is that to vote for me instead of Kayla and effectively send me home by
Right.
sending Karli out
Right.
And then to turn
To
around
turn
and
around.
instead say that you and Kayla are unbeatable, like why wouldn't he have
Those
taken
two
the
things don't make
opportunity?
logical sense back to back happening to me.
Even if I had said I'm done and I said, could I have gotten 4 on Kayla in that spot if I'd said I'm done?
Like if you would have flipped on Kayla,
Yeah.
absolutely, you would have been still in the game. Everything I said to you was true. She came to me and Karli and said, we need to take Kyle out.
But she still
Like-
did vote with on Evan, on you in the
Yeah,
end.
after she like
She needed your
Drop-
bequeaths.
she dropped the
Evan,
bomb at
I was just gonna say, I think it was a misplay because I think if obviously, I guess I could have done more to make it more clear that I wanted to go to the end with you. I was back and forth between you and Sam, to be fair, so like I wasn't really sure. But it wasn't because I was like close to Sam, it was just because like those were the reasonable options in my mind. The
Yeah.
reason I think it was a misplay was because I thought, at least at the time, and still kind of now, that Kyle and Kayla were the clear front runners. Which is why we were saying it was funny that the next round you were like, well, Kayla or Kyle has to go, when there was like opportunity for, I mean, Kayla had the idol,
So-
right? But like there was opportunity for her to leave, and instead I left.
Yeah, but to
Mhm.
explain that, I was playing with Karli and Sam, and then Kyle and Kayla I've been trying to work with every single round. And
You could
so
tell.
obviously. So like what's the highest probability of me getting taken to the end? I have to be on good terms with both sides. And like if we made it to the end, also it would have been so boring if it was just the majority of the entire game. Like it would have been so boring. Kyle, there was no reason, not one good reason why you should have gone there. Like it's
That's
just
unfortunate.
like it
We
is
agree.
super
I guess
unfortunate.
the reason is my unwillingness to flip on Kayla would be the reason. That's
I
probably,
believe that she was going to as well.
yeah.
I mean, she would have done anything to get there.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, see,
I respect the hustle, but at the same time, I think a lot of her game's been very messy. So, and
Well, see,
she's
that's sort of what I thought too. So that's why I was confident in two ways of going, like, because I said to you guys towards the end, like I was happy. I was before you dropped the bomb on me right before we got pulled in, that she had maybe chucked my name out. I was like, I'm unwilling to chuck a vote on her because I've been able to play a game that allowed us to vote kind of in tandem pretty much the whole way, and not have to flip there. And additionally, as you've just said, I got the perception that, given some of the more heated tribal moments, that if it was like me and her in a final 2 or 3, that she maybe had burned more bridges. Was my that could be wrong, but that was my perception.
it's very true. I mean, she has burned more bridges, which was like my pitch.
But I'm fine with that. And each round was as a new thing, but yeah, it definitely seemed like at the end, it's funny how she was described as a shield. I felt a little bit of like a shield for Kayla at the end, which
You
isn't
were
like
a
necessarily
shield-
a bad thing, but
You were a shield for Kayla earlier on as well. Like pre-merge, you were a shield for her. Merge, like at merge, you were a shield for her. You were continuously the vote that we were gonna pretend was gonna be the vote, but we were gonna keep.
Yeah, that was wild. So I I felt like I was sitting pretty, like my name wasn't being thrown out, right? So I was truly thinking already at that point, like the best game I had to play was being loyal. So I played that way. It might not have been the most strategic move. Well, no, I think it was strategic for me at that point. You know, I wasn't expecting to get any immunities. I really, flunked the challenges. And I thought, I had a good read on people's relationships. Or I'd like to think I did. And that was kind of my strong point. So I thought, well, I'm going to lean into that. But yeah, that was a tough vote.
yeah, I think the consensus, or at least maybe what Vogl was saying, was that was probably my critical error, was not jumping off the Kayla ride there.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I don't know. I don't know.
Evan said that.
I think it's
Sullivan.
the
Well,
only vote
yeah.
that I feel like Kayla can own.
Mhm.
What the Kyle vote?
Yes.
Yeah, like I was just like a full shield. It was just like
It's the
him, not
only
me.
vote that Kayla should have.
She didn't even
know.
vote
Me and
Kyle.
Evan might disagree with that though.
No, but it's the only
Because
one that could have gone home.
No.
And when else could she have gone home?
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I agree. I always felt like between the two of us, it was always me
I don't
on the
know
hot
if she
seat.
convinced you, and I'm gonna leave this to her.
I
I
Vogl-
also I
This-
want to reveal something really quick. I actually met Kayla one time before this game.
Mhm.
Like
Oh.
and so a lot of how she survived was me shifting the target off of her. Whether that's a plus for her game or a negative, she had a handicap. So
using your resources, using your relationship, even if they're
yeah.
prior relationship.
outside of game relationship, I don't love though. I count that against
It's
her.
not a relationship. I don't have her number. I haven't spoken with her. I don't know how to get in contact with her. I don't have her on social media. I've
Right.
met her one
No,
time.
I don't consider it cheating, but I don't consider it a good thing for her game.